Nigeria, appointed by Buhari, one of the first appointee. In fact, he was actually the first appointee, I think, for the president, apart from his ADC, I don't know. But the first official appointment of the president, the secretary to the government of the Federation, Babashir Lawal. So the government of Buhari came in when the Boko Haram terrorists have ravaged the northeast of Nigeria. And therefore, that prompted, prompted the president and his government, you know, to set up the Northeast Rebuilding, whatever commission. You know, they do that all the time. So, Rebuilding Commission, and they put the committee and every other thing that is going on in the Northeast in the office of the SGF, Secretary to the Government of the Federation. So in the process, the office of the Secretary of the Government of the Federation, which Babashir Lawal headed at the time, was in charge of taking care of the internally displaced persons, the IDPs, of the Boko Haram victims. So his office was in charge of taking care of them, rehabilitating them, and resettling them, which means those who have lost their means of livelihood, their homes and all that, they need to be resettled, you know, rehabilitated, and then by the government, especially the committee set up by the president. Good, isn't it? Even the Niger Delta people at the time kicked against that because they believed that it was their money that the government of Nigeria was going to use to rebuild the Northeast. But at the same time, it was a good move by the president and the government of Nigeria. So they put her in the office of Babashir Lawal. So in the process, they built a new camp, new IDP camp in Borno, you know, in their Maiduguri metropolis and all that, all those places. So they built IDP camps across the place. They brought people who were rescued from Boko Haram and all that. They brought them to the camp, so they were meant to be protected. At least they are no longer in the, you know, under the, what do you call it, under the terrorists anymore. So they are now in care of the government. So whoever want to give anything to the IDPs, whoever want to support, whoever want to, you know, do something in the Northeast, they have to go through the office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. So everything is channeled through his office, including the money budgeted for that exercise. So a few months after Babashir Lawal took office, and they, like I said, they settled the IDP camp, they set them up. This scandal started popping up from left, right, and center. You know, people accusing those who are in charge of the IDPs of demanding for bribe before they could offer help to the victims of the Boko Haram. So all these things were coming up. At first, we were told that 150 trailers of grains that was meant to be sent to the victims of Boko Haram in these camps was diverted. That actually came out of the mouth of the wife of the president. So what happened? When Babashir Lawal took over, and they needed to really up the game in taking care of the victims of Boko Haram in their large numbers, including women and children. The silos, the current president of African Development Bank, Akinwumi Adesina, was our agriculture minister at the time. So they built silos under Jonathan. They built silos filled with grains. So when Buhari came in, he ordered that some of these grains should be loaded and given to the IDP, to the victims of Boko Haram, to feed them. 157 or 156 trailers of grains. And when I say grains, I'm talking about grains. You know grains, yeah? Millet, soya bean, and the rest of them. You know, they took 150 trucks of grains. And in transit, over 100, immediately gone missing or thereabout. Over 100 disappeared. So that was the first scandal that should have brought down Babashir Lawal, but they buried it. Nobody heard anything about it anymore. Then another one came when the scandal of the people in IDP camps, they are now going on the street to beg to feed. Whereas there is already budget allocation, monetary allocation for that purpose through the office of the SGF. So they said, oh, people in the IDP, they are seeing them on the street begging. Some of them prostituting to survive in that camp. Under Babashir Lawal, they also buried that scandal. Few months after he took office, so under Buhari, then the last one came. They said they cleared the grass around the IDP camps. They cleared the grass. Wow, that's good. Yeah, they have to clear the bush before you can set up a camp or camps. How much did it cost us to cut or to clear the grass? 240 million naira. That is not just the scandal. That is not even the scandal. That he awarded the clearing of grass around the IDP, where the residents, those who are living in the camp, were begging for food on the street. Now, the office that is meant to take care of them is awarding contract of 240 million naira to clear the grass and, in order for snakes and other, other animals not to come in and then cause more havoc than what the victims have sort of experienced. 240 million naira. That is not even the scandal. The real scandal is the 240 million naira contract, grass cutting contract. It's just a fraction of how many contracts awarded towards the rebuilding of Northeast Nigeria under the office of Babashir Lawal. It's just a fraction. And the real scandal there is this. While Babashir Lawal was in charge of the committee to rebuild Northeast Nigeria, right? And he was awarding contracts towards that process. He was awarding most of the contract to himself, his company. That was the real scandal. You can be in office and say, I don't know the cost of a bag of cement. I just awarded the contract. But when you award the contract to yourself, because you have the capacity to award the contract to any company that you deem fit for that job. So he awarded it to himself. So that was what blew the lid. That was what led to everything. They couldn't cover it anymore. It's so enormous. The committee set up to do the job in the Northeast. They are now becoming like just ceremonial group. Babashir Lawal was working with his own team that is set up in his own office for that same purpose, and at the end of the day, they have to blow the lid. That was the real scandal. Abuse of office. That is the real scandal. So we were now waiting on the president that was fighting corruption. Just like Jonathan and that woman that is now senator, the former aviation minister. If you remember her name, please remind me. When she bought bulletproof cars, 2 bulletproof cars for 450 million naira, she said, oh, it wasn't my fault. The memo was sent to me that I needed the cars, and I signed it. But that wasn't the scandal. The scandal is who got the job and who got the contract. That's the real scandal. So it happened under Buhari. They didn't know how to manage it. They wanted to play it down. They wanted to bury it. They wanted to make it look like it's nothing. Then another thing happened. In 2016, from nowhere, they said Nigeria Army mistook IDP camp set up by Nigerian government that is already on the map and location in Borno State. Nigeria Army bombed the camp twice. So as to create crisis, to create something that's going to distract everybody from that investigation. Do you know they are not investigating that? And they came back later. They said it was what do you call it? It was a wrong info or something like that, wrong intel. So they bombed the IDP camp. cut the grass for 240 million naira. What's that? They said it's scientific cutting. They used technology. They did a lot. They did a lot to try to spin it, but it wasn't just gelling, you know. So then Buhari had to take action. When Buhari wanted to take action, he set up committee to investigate what they already know. And that is where we are coming to. Now, let's put Babashiru Lawal aside, because that committee Buhari set up took them, or let's say took him, to act on the report. It took him 8 months to act on the report of the committee he set up, but we'll come to that one. Then Olushola, what's that other man's name? Okay, of NIA, National Intelligence Agency, that housed 13 billion naira. 13 billion naira, what, you know, in dollars and in other currencies. 13 billion naira worth of stash. And he put it away in a Koyi, in a civilian flat. Money meant for national security, National Intelligence Gathering Agency. You know what I mean? He housed the money in a Koyi, in a civilian flat. And that was evidence. But that took them about 4 days before we could even identify the... before he could even come out to say, well, the money belonged to me. Now, these two cases are the most current corruption, as in, are the most current partiality in the fight against corruption of the president. He's never really done anything, you know, tangible that you can associate his campaign promises and what he's doing right now with. Other than the fact that the president and those around the president believes that we are all APC supporters in Nigeria, which means we don't really have to really question them and all that. But I'll come to that one as well later. We have we have Abiuki, we have Babashiru Lawal, two highly placed personalities in the government of Nigeria of today, at the time anyway. When Dasuki was arrested, he was arrested for mismanaging $2 billion of arms deal, you know, arms deal money. That was what he was accused of. Then don't let us forget that. He was accused, not because he stole the money, because they are yet to tell us that Dasuki bought house here, bought this, they took this property from Dasuki. No, he was a public official, just like Babashiru Lawal. He was a public official, and this government came in. They said he mismanaged $2 billion. That was a very big one. And to this day, for 2 years, 2 solid years, Dasuki has been in jail and has been in prison. Let me put it that way. He has been in prison. Not that he's been taken to court, no. But because the president and the presidency feels like, so far they say he's a thief, then he deserves nobody's attention. Whoever they call thief deserves nobody's attention. Now, let us do it according to the president's rules now. He's finally sacked Babashiru Lawal for the same offense. He sacked Oke for the same offense. Dasuki that shared money is in prison right now. Those who he gave money to, some of them are still in prison right now. And many of them have been in prison. And in fact, they are waiting for the court to either send them to prison again or free them. How come it took President 8 months? It didn't take him 8 months to investigate Dasuki. Do you know that? It did not take this government 8 solid months, 9 months to investigate and arrest Dasuki. Why is it so different in the people who are working with the president? Why? That is a very big question that people who love the president should answer. That is just one. This time around, We may not know if this government didn't come in. We may not know that Dasuki stole money. But right under our own, under our own, our own watch, we saw 13 billion naira cash. And you know one thing about that money? That's another thing. I'm like, if President Buhari is truly fighting corruption, because the danger, I mean, the danger in corrupt practices is this: it destroys things. That's what corruption does. It destroys things. 13 billion naira they found in Ikoyi prison. In Ikoyi flat. People, analysts told us, they said, that money is enough to overthrow government in 5 African countries successfully. If that money should get into the wrong hands, that money is enough, is so much enough to overthrow government in 5 African countries. But let's assume that as a procedure of corruption, that is exactly what it's going to end up being used for. You know, not to overthrow government, but to throw people in poverty more and more. But 13 billion, if I don't know how much other money they found or looters have returned, I know about 13 billion of national money that has no trace. There is no trace that that money was approved by the CBN, and the CBN and everything that should show that, okay, for national security, there's some other intel that goes into other security apparatuses and all that. Now people are now calling on Buhari because we have to call on him. That's what people do now. That's what we do. We call on him all the time. Please do this, so please do this, so. Femi Fani-Kayode is seen as a thief today by many because this government wants us to see him as a thief and see the likes of Babashir Lawal and whatever as victim of power play. Because if Babashir Lawal is being asked and it's been asked, and the likes of Abba Kyari, the chief of staff to the president, is still very much everywhere. And here is the trick they played on all of us. It took the man long time. He consulted with so many people who gave him Babashir Lawal. And they told him, even if Babashir Lawal was to go, we have to bring someone that he will be happy with. That is the trick they played on all of us. Boss Mustafa, the new secretary to the government of the Federation, formerly chairman of the Nigerian Waterways, whatever, I don't know what that means, was appointed by the president. He happens to be the first cousin to Babashir Lawal, the sacked secretary to the government of the Federation. Do the math, connect the dots, then you realize the trick here. The president said EFCC and ICPC should do their job now. And that is the show they want to give to us. It's going to be a show. Yes, they will invite Babashir Lawal. They will invite, they will do all of that, blah, 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 blah. They give us nice show, nice, stuff to make us feel like it's happening. Just like they are doing with the likes of Fani-Kayode, the likes of Olisametu, and the rest of them that are standing corruption trial right now under this government in Nigeria. It's all show. Everything is just show. The more you enjoy the drama, the more they give you the next episode. They give you more episode, they give you more episode. They make you feel like, now, Tinubu is back to him. I'll come to that one as well later. So the same cabal that Babashir Lawal belonged to when he uttered the word, what presidency? Who is presidency? When the day was suspended, if you remember, when his suspension was announced, they said, oh, you've been suspended by the president. He said, who is presidency? Because he knows them. He knows everyone. They are the same. They do this every now and then. The same people that Babashir Lawal was working with in the government of Buhari, the likes of Malami, Attorney General of the Federation, the likes of Dan Bazau, the Interior Minister, the likes of Abba Kyari, the Chief of Staff, the likes of Maman Daura, the uncle to Buhari. These people work hand in hand and they hold grip onto the government successfully. So he asked, who is the presidency? The same people brought back Mena. Mena is also a victim of those power play just to entertain us, to make us feel cool. Right? Just last year, the internal bickering between these people within Buhari's government, who happens to be the presidency, this same set of people, one of them called Daura, I remember his name. Is it Maman Daura as well? Yeah, the guy in charge of DSS, who happens to be a family member of the president. He is in charge of DSS. Mena was made, we were made to believe that Mena was a fugitive on the run because it's the government. They tell us what they want us to believe. And they'll deal with us if we start to ask more questions. So they'll tell you what you have to believe. Just believe it. Don't question it. They said he's a fugitive. He ran away when his case was coming up. His corruption case was coming up. Mena came out. He said, I saved money for Nigeria. I stopped this social ministry from giving everyday millions of money to some certain individuals. I stopped that parastatal from giving free money to some certain government officials. I stopped that one. I saved money here. I saved money there. Blah, 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 blah. Our government told us he's a fugitive. And we must be careful of him. But the same government that monitored the movement of Nnamdi Kanu as he left UK, lodged himself into his hotel in Lagos, and they managed to go there to get him. The same DSS that does that same job. It's finding it difficult to tell us that Mena came into the country and is living in the country, while you and I thought he's living in Singapore. But he's back in Nigeria, and the same DSS is providing security for him in a bulletproof SUV that many of you drive past most of the time, and you don't even know the occupant. DSS protected the guy. And do you know why they protected the guy? EFCC is looking for Mena. And who is dead of EFCC? Ibrahim Magu. And when Ibrahim Magu, who happens to be an acting chairman of EFCC, when Magu was meant to be confirmed as the chairman, the chairman of EFCC, it was the DSS chairman or DSS that wrote a letter, security letter that says he must not be confirmed as the chairman of EFCC because he is a corrupt officer himself within the presidency of new sheriff in town, President Muhammadu Buhari. President Buhari, wrote a letter to the Senate, confirmed this man as the chairman of EFCC because he's done so well and I want to keep him. While the president wrote the letter, the same man appointed by the president to head the DSS, who could have met with the president to tell the president the same thing, security report, that's what now came back to the country. He was reinstated into the civil service and promoted. You know, that didn't just happen. That is just not a coincidence. It is not a mistake. It is not an error. There was no error. The Attorney General of the Federation wrote a letter clearing Mena of any, what do you call it, for any wrongdoing, and forwarded the same to the Interior Ministry and recommended Mena to be reinstalled into civil service and paid all the money he's been unable to get from 2013 when he ran away. And he was paid, I think they said they paid him 125 million naira in all for those years. So it was not a mistake. It was never a mistake. It was premeditated, planned for a purpose that is yet to be known. Because we have found out later that when in this short while, that many of you have forgot about Mena. When many of us have thought maybe Mena is actually going to keep living in Singapore or wherever he ran to at the time. Mena was in Nigeria. He was mingling with the people. The same people that are looking for him. The same people that told you that we are looking for him. So he was mingling with them. They are having businesses together. They are doing their things and they are doing their things. And we have a president that takes no nonsense. Don't forget that. Buhari takes no nonsense. But that's a lie. Corruption. So when social media got wind of that, and we blew it, we started screaming, shouting in our usual way, because they call us whalers. But every day they get there, I mean, those who are hailing are picking up the whaling form. Lately, they've been picking up the forms. They can no longer be lied to. And it's as simple as that. People can't be lied to for too long. You know? So that is not fighting corruption. The president shouldn't order anybody to arrest anybody. He is just an executive. He too should be investigated if the security apparatuses in Nigeria are truly independent. You know what I mean? President Trump in America is being investigated from day one he took office for his Russian connection and all that. And many of you are celebrating that. So that shows the independence of these bodies to strengthen democracy in Nigeria. President don't order people to arrest anybody. It's so abnormal. And then, you know, it's actually corruption on its own. You don't tell security officials what to do. They can investigate you anytime. And they can talk to the press on their findings anytime. But not so in Nigeria because of our past military mentality, where the C would just come on here and it would just dish out orders, including the police, the judges, and it would just tell them, I have ordered them to go and do it. I called my CSO and I said, what was that all about? Okay, I gave the order that, okay, everybody. You don't give order in democracy. No. It is because of the corruption in the system. That is why any president or any governor will stand up and say, I have called the EFCC to command. Even when the president set up investigation panel or whatever he called it, that was headed by the vice president, Oshibaju, that was wrong. It is just our own Nigerian way of fixing things up. We fix things. Everything we have in Nigeria politically is fixed. We have police. And, well, we have EFCC, who deals with every other financial crime. So, ordinarily, for the fact that that scandal broke out, right? The first thing first was for the president to sack him, send him away, not to investigate him. That one is the job of those, you know, we are paying. The EFCC, you don't tell them, come and do this, come and do that. Because with that, they say the president is interested. I don't want to offend the president. I don't want to, you know, that is corruption on its own. So Buhari is not fighting corruption. Buhari is deceiving himself. That is the bottom line. He's not fighting any corruption. Because it is under this same Buhari We are reading all this mind-boggling revelations about the Inspector General of Police of Nigeria. Inspector General of Police that makes so much money through bribery. Is on record. But until when he offends the president or offends someone within the presidency, then they will set him up. They will say, okay, let us expose him. That's what they do. So when the chief security officer of the country is corrupt, is being accused of corruption, who is going to investigate him? Who? So these are questions we should be asking. And these are the reasons why things are not going the way they should go. They are not going because people are manipulating the system, giving you false expectation. But they are doing something different to what they are showing you. Every day, they are looting Nigeria blind. Every day, right now. Because they have managed successfully to control our thoughts, to control our mind, and at the same time, to make us sound stupid most of the time. That is exactly what is happening. Party government. God bless you, Abiodun and Yodeji. Party government. As it was yesterday, so it is today. If you don't want it to continue tomorrow, start using your head. Told me one, my brother in America, he told me something, and I think he told all of us. He said, to break the chains of underdevelopment in Nigeria, let us start with power. When they say restructure Nigeria, restructure the political system is what we mean. You know, a situation whereby power is generated in Lagos, and we have to mount kilometers of cables from Lagos to Kano to every other places where we can actually develop that same power sector, that same power plant for them right there, save money from transmission that we have been facing, and let every region develop on their own. That is the kind of restructuring we want. And I listened to Fashola earlier today. In his interview on the TVC, I streamed that on my Eagles Diary earlier. He said they have started now. They are now allowing people who want to generate power independently, and when for certain amount of megawatts, that now makes it a national thing. So if you want to generate 40 megawatts, if you have the capacity to generate 40 megawatts for the people of Ijebu-Ode, you can actually start now. I heard that from him. So this is a kind of restructured Nigeria we are talking about. When we want to restructure, let's restructure our political, let's restructure our political system. That is the real problem. A problem where one man is the most powerful man among 180 million people. That doesn't make any sense. There must be others who are all truly independent to checkmate him. There must be. And in this case, in Nigeria, even if I become the president of Nigeria tomorrow, I'll be the most powerful man in Nigeria. And to maintain that power, right, I need to put up with people of questionable characters, people who can change things, people who can do unimaginable things, illogical things. As long as you have your way, it is the system. And until that system is restructured, that is exactly what we'll keep having. We'll keep having one man telling us who is right and who is wrong, who is a thief and who is a hero, who is a patriot and who is a traitor. So we'll keep having that. And in our situation where we speak different languages, Buhari can speak to someone beside me and I won't understand what he's saying. And he's meant to be my president. He's supposed to be my president. So restructure the political system. Free the states. Let us even start from there. Free the state. Let them control. Let them maintain their own development by themselves. So what else do we want from Buhari? Someone once asked me, what else do you want him to do? And all that. I said, I want him to stop lying to himself. The president should stop. Lying to himself. When the president was away for about 3 months, I mean, for about 3 months, yeah, over 100 days, or thereabout. When he was away, he came back. The whole country was in a mess. The whole place was like, you know, everything was just the way it was. When he came back, his first broadcast was some people were trying to take over his government. Some people don't like him. They don't like his government. You that just came back from the throes of death, you could have been gone by now, that we will have another president. So if God could bring you back, the most important thing to you, it sounded bitter. It sounded, it sounded bitter. It sounded like we owe him a lot. We owe him so much for being our president. And we are not appreciating him enough for being our president. That was what he came back to do. Rather than to heal the country, someone should tell him to stop lying to himself, especially those around him. Because those ones are even more power drunk than the man in charge. You know what I mean? They are more power drunk than the man in charge. in charge. So maybe when we start doing it right, someone needs to start doing it right. This is not a matter of what if it's your turn? What if you are the one that is president? I don't have to be the president. But if you are opportuned to be governor or president, come on, just do it right. The president came in. Another clique, apart from the presidency, another clique that is so powerful in Nigeria political settings are the state governors. They are very powerful. You may not know. As long as you are a state governor in Nigeria, the power they control is unimaginable. No matter who you are, you may be iron-hearted, you may be iron-fisted, you may be whatever you are, you may be a general, you may be whatever. If you want to deal with Nigerian governors, once and for all, don't think of second term. Clean this mess and fix this problem once and for all. And there's no better person to do that than Buhari. It's only Buhari that can do that. He's an old man. May God spare his life. He's an old man. He can't live for another 50 years. Yes. Even if he lives to 100, he can't live for another 50 years. To make him around 120 something years old. It's not likely. So, which means he has nothing to lose if he faces this canker worms once and for all. But can corruption fight corruption? That's the question we should ask ourselves. Can corruption fight corruption? President Buhari came in and the governors, in their own cunning ways, what did they do? They developed these scary proposals, memos. They started piling the office of the president with so much request. We can pay salary. With bailout money. You don't remember that, don't you? Bailout money. And the president released 400 billion naira as loan. Released another 260 something billion naira as bailout. So you can take bailout. Then you can also make requests for loan to augment the shortages. You know what I mean? So the governors, they took the bailout. some of them also took the loan from central bank. So for the first 3 months of Buhari, apart from their monthly allocations, he released over 600 billion naira to the governors to go and clear the debt of unpaid salary. By September of that same year, 2015, they are back again. They need more money. They needed more money. The president came out again to give them another bailout in February 2016. When they got the second bailout, some of them started their dream project. They were supposed to go and clear the what do you call it? They are supposed to go and clear the outstanding debt of contractors, pensioners, workers, stuff like that. Let us start on a clean slate. That was what the president said he wanted to do. And he gave them the money. The governors. Who cares? Who spend the money? It's a JJC. What does he know? Forget him. They spend the money, they spend the money. Salary unpaid. Some of them started new project. Some of them in the north started buying cars for House of Rep members because they feel like they are not owing any salary. So because they are not owing, it is always better to buy cars for public officials. Some of them invested the money in buying coffins for mosques in the north. And the Muslims don't bury their dead in coffins. But Masari came out and he started supplying coffins. They said, oh, it's a coffin to carry the dead from mosque to where they want to bury the person. And they will return the coffin. They will return it back to the mosque. It's for the mosque use. That's what they used the bailout money for at the time. Why people were suffering, continued suffering. Then they said, oh, we are going to probe the bailout money. We have to probe the bailout money. Blah, 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 blah. Story. As they were giving them bailout money, some of them started getting some loans for their state through the federal government. The federal government, through the central bank that says, they can take any money. They are governors. Come on, let them have the money. In my own state, in Ogun State, they were taking more loans, more loans, more loans. They say, we are LV. We can take more loans. But they are not using the loan for whatever they are taking it for. So they are doing all of this under the man that says he's coming to save us from these looters or from these criminals. They said he's a man of integrity. How do you rate integrity? When you see evil and you look away. And when people scream, you drag them closer and protect them. That is not integrity. We are not stupid. We should say that to ourselves all the time. That's not integrity. Osun State is in a serious mess. But Aregbesola, every time you give him mic today, he will start blabbing rubbish. He will want to blame someone. But people should now ask him, where is the bailout money? I'm still coming to Paris Fund though, because Paris Fund still joined. And these governors looted everything. And this president asked them nothing. And you want me to just come out here and say, oh, Buhari means well. Buhari means well. These are means and ways we waste money in the past. And we are still doing it. But this time around, they are doing it with so much deceit that even those they are stealing from would rather die for them than ask them questions of their loots and all that. They don't want to ask. But you are suffering silently. Whereas this money, that's the saddest part of the whole thing. This money, even if they had kept the money in Nigeria, the money will still add to the value of our economy. People will still have something. At least it will be within the economy of Nigeria. But no, immediately the money landed, they moved the money. You know that. All of you know that. That's what they do. So workers that Buhari released money for didn't get the money. Some of them were forced to start signing documents, agreement that says they have been paid when they have not been paid. They are made to sign document that says they have been paid their salaries when they have not been paid in Nigeria. But yet, they are supposed to have been paid. Go to Kogi State. Look at everything that is going on there. And the governor of Kogi State is the son of the president. Are you saying that the President Buhari is reading another story about Kogi people, and we are reading another story about Kogi people that prompted, that made this most integrity, what do you call it, president, to keep mute when people's lives are being ruined? These are basic questions we should be asking. It's not about hating the president. Whether you love Buhari, whether you hate Buhari, it won't change anything. The only time you can check if your love or hate for him is important is during election. So if you can use your "I don't like Buhari" to vote him out, then that means you are important. Your hate for Buhari makes sense then. But if you can't use your love for Buhari to keep him in office, then your love is also useless to him. But what really matters now is our country and what is going on under Buhari that seems to be overwhelming him right now. Corruption is everywhere now, in a full-blown stature. And the man at the center still wants us to believe he's fighting corruption, when we can smell and sense corruption across all our local government and our states in Nigeria. Even Obasanjo, that some of us don't really like today, still used his office to fight corruption within his own party and his own government. The record is there. Governors were impeached because they had traces. They had something to hold, to attach them with, and then, punish them for. Governors. Buhari cannot even look at their faces because he's already sort of segmented them, the 5%ers and the 97%ers. So it depends on where you come from. It doesn't really matter. So he hates those he wants to hate anyway, and he loves those he wants to love. And those he loves are untouchable. You can't do anything. So these are the things we are demanding for. That let the government be transparent enough to serve us. Buhari can't fix our problem, but he should stop adding to our problem and raising our hope on wrong expectations. You know what I mean? There is corruption everywhere, and those we see living larger than their main, their main earnings, their official earnings, are eating and dining with the president. Senator Shehu Sani said that in Nigeria of today, corruption is being fought with insecticide against the opposition, and corruption is being fought with deodorant within the presidency. That is double standard, and double standard shouldn't be associated with man of integrity. And Buhari is a man of integrity. I don't hate him. I don't hate him. If he starts doing the right thing, which he swore to do, he swore to do that. So if he starts doing that, he will start earning some, he will start earning the respect of some of us, even though it may not be really consequential. It may not really add anything. Just like his packaged integrity means nothing to people like me. You know what I mean? I don't get deceived by what people of questionable character tells me to believe in. You know what I mean? So he should start doing it and start showing it. He should start doing it. Not all this package. I'm not even expecting him to, because it's not likely. But the truth of the matter is, we are not stupid about his fight against corruption, and we are not deceived by the sack of Babashir Lawal. Babashir Lawal should have been, his case should have been forgotten by now, if the government or the president allowed the security agencies, the anti-corruption agencies, to do their job. But is he going to let them do their job? No. It won't. Babashir Lawal left Buhari's government, replaced himself with his own first cousin, and that is where the new scandal is. That is where the nepotism we are talking about is. the nepotism known with the government of Buhari. That is exactly what we are pointing out. So when they come out with mask on, some of us will actually take off the mask and reveal the people behind the mask. So everything about them has been a sort of masked government, party government. Just like in the past, it's not new. What is new is that this government is lying to itself, and it wants us to believe in his own lies, and also to live that lie, so that, you know, we have no reason to question them in the future. When you're not doing it right, and lives is being affected, it is our duty to call you to order, to tell you, this is not right. We are not stupid. You may have people praising you. You may have people, kissing your feet. You may have people lying down and you trembling. I mean, you trekking over them. Yes. But it won't change the fact that we are not deceived. Do it rightly. Follow the law and let law take its own course. You know? So this will be my stand on this this afternoon. I have to take care of one or two things now. So I'll see you some other time, and then let's see how long it's going to take them to package the drama of Babashiru Lawal's invitation or possibly arrest and prosecution, which may actually be a tall dream. But in the game of power, you can always sacrifice the closest man to you if it will guarantee victory. And in this case, I think Babashiru Lawal is going to be the sacrificial lamb towards the revival of the fake package and fake promises of Buhari and APC in Nigeria towards 2019. And the journey has started. It has started. I mean, the journey has started right now. And only those who don't want to be informed, or who fail to be informed, or fail to accept the information that is abound around them, are likely to be deformed of the consequence of their ignorance. So until I see you some other time, keep watching my Egun's Diary and keep being you. Nigeria can get better if you try to get better first. And to be better, mindset is something very, very, very important and very powerful. If your mindset is shrewd towards the ideology of this current leadership mentality we have in Nigeria, then we have a long way to go before this rubbish and this nonsense can be brought to an inglorious end. Until I see you some other time, don't stop watching and don't stop learning. Thank you very much and good afternoon.